Good afternoon, students. Hope you all are there. I'm going to start the object-oriented programming. Uh, right. So we have started the session last week, the subject last week, and today we are going to do the second lesson. So as I told you at the very beginning, we have both theories and practicals in this module. So this is like a combination of theories and practicals. Why we need to learn theories? Just because we need to understand the practicals. To do practicals, you should understand the theory part. So that is why we have the theories here. So most probably when you have that good understanding about the subject, concept and all, then definitely no need to worry about theories. But at the beginning, since you all are studying this for the very first time, first we focus the theories and then we slowly get into practical part. So this is the first lesson we have covered before the vacation. So we have discussed about the evaluation. So when it comes to computer programming, here in this module, we mainly focus about that programming part. So we are not talking about the processor speed, size of the computer, the functions of computers, their varieties. We are not talking about those things. We just focusing the programming part, the development part. Programming in the sense developing a small computer program, a computer software. So in this module, we focus about that part. So I have explained what is computer programming. It is the process of writing a code, developing a software, and then we discuss how it started and how it came to today's level. That's all about the history. So I have divided the history into three sections. The earlier stage and the second generation, third generation, and after that. So in earlier stage, from 1943 to 1950, nothing happened. In this era, the opinion came. So they wanted to develop this programming. They had that main requirement. So then in second generation, they wanted to improve that opinion. They tried some translators, but it didn't work, and they wanted high level language. It's difficult to communicate with machine language, so they wanted high level language. In third generation, they had introduced all these things: high level languages, translators, English like instructions, and less processor dependency. So if I quickly summarize what are these, I know you all remember these things, but it's better to quickly summarize. So when it comes to computer programming, your computer is a machine. අපේ computer එක machine එකක්. So your computer can't understand your words, phrases, sentences. So in order to tell something to your computer in an understandable manner, you have to use a programming language, right? But those days, we hadn't those kind of things. We had to use the language which your computer can understand. The computer can understand only machine language. So if we want to write a computer program, if we want to develop a small software, then we have to use this machine language. Machine language එක කියන්නේ 01. හැමදේම 01 වලට කන්වර්ට් කරලා තමයි අපි මැෂින් ලැන්ග්වේජ් එකකදී පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ. දැන් ඔයාලට සෙන්ටෙන්ස් එකක් දෙන්න ඕන නම් ඒකම 01 වලට කන්වර්ට් කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒක හරි අමාරුයි. මොකද 01 කියන මෙතඩ් එක මතක තියාගන්න අමාරුයි. පොඩි letter එකකට පොඩි word එකකට that's okay. But when it comes to a very lengthier uh, content, it's difficult to memorize that 01 method. So then in this generation, they introduce something called high level language. These are the languages we currently use. Those are very understandable, easy to use, easy to handle. So those contains not zeros and ones, those contains in English like instructions. අපි දැන් පාවිච්චි කරන Java, Python, C++, C Sharp මේ ඔක්කොම ඇවිල්ලා high level languages ඒවා තේරුම් ගන්න ලේසි use කරන්න ලේසි ඒ නිසා we all use these languages. So those are the new thing happens in third generation. And then in 1952 Grace Hopper wrote the first compiler. Compiler is the thing that we use to convert our language into a machine language. As I told you at the very beginning, your computer can't understand human language, our words. So we should have to translate our words into understandable zeros and ones. So that part done by the compiler. So the first compiler introduced in 1952 by Grace Hopper. And then in 1958, Lisp processing language has introduced. 1960, COBOL was invented. And then we came to object-oriented programming. So when we do programming, we have different ways to do that. One way is object-oriented programming. So in object-oriented programming, we target objects. So if you want to give a very realistic solution, if you want to give a solution for real world problem, then the best option is object-oriented programming. දැන් අපි ගත්තොත් ඉස්සර කාලේ බැංකින් කිව්වහම අපිට බැංක් එකට යන්න ඕනේ. අපි බැංක් එකේ queue එකේ හිටගෙන ඉන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට අපි forms fill කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒ වගේ තමයි ඔය බැංකින් process එක වෙන්නේ. හැබැයි ඊට පස්සේ ATM, online banking, digital banking මේ හැමදේම ආවා. එතනදී ඒගොල්ලෝ මොකද්ද කරේ අර physical bank එකම digital app එක ඇතුළට අරගෙන ගියා. ATM එක ඇතුළට අරගෙන ගියා. ඔයා බැංක් එකට ගිහිල්ලා සල්ලි withdraw කරන විදියටම ඔයාට ATM එකෙන් සල්ලි withdraw කරන්න පුළුවන්. එකම දේක machine එකක්. Right? So what we do there, we take the real world thing into the computer program. ඔයා අර real world දෙයක් program එකකට ගේනකොට තමයි අපි object oriented කියන එක පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ. So this is the concept we will be discussing throughout our lecture series, and we will be doing some practicals for that. And the first object-oriented language is Simula 67. So now we are practicing Java. But you know, at the beginning, there was no programming language called Java. The very first object-oriented programming language was Simula 67. And they used this programming language and they developed a very first object-oriented programming software. It is Smalltalk. And then C++ invented in 1985 by this person. And then Java came to the world. Java has invented by James Gosling in 1991. So this is the person, he is the person who introduced Java to the world. The person's name is James Gosling. And then I talk about the difference between unstructured programming and structured programming. At the very beginning, they wanted to do the task. However, they wanted to do the task. මුල්ම කාලේදී ඒගොල්ලන්ට ඕන උනේ මොන විදියකට හරි task එක කරන්න. පිළිවෙලක්, organization එකක්, එහෙම නැත්නම් කිසිම procedure එකක්, ඒ කිසිම දෙයක් තිබුණේ නැහැ. මොන යම් ක්‍රමයකට හරි ඕන උනේ ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එක කරන්න. ඉතින් ඒ කාලෙදී තිබුණ ක්‍රමේ තමයි unstructured programming. There's no structure. They just do the program according to the output. And then later, because of some issues of that unstructured programming, structured programming came to the world. In structured programming, what we do, we follow a structure. දැන් අපි පිළිවෙලට කරපු දේ අපි පිළිවෙලට කරනවා. ලස්සන්ට ස්ට්‍රක්චර් එකක්, ලස්සන්ට කෝඩ් බ්ලොක්ස් ඒවා ලස්සන්ට වෙන් කරනවා, නැවත නැවත පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන් දේවල් එහෙම කරනවා. So like that we structure the program. So nicely we structure like this. So then after that, some issues still were there, like bug-free programs, easy maintainability, reusability and security. ඒ කියන්නේ මුලින්ම unstructured ආවා, ඊට පස්සේ ඒක structured වලට develop වුණා, ඊට පස්සේ structured වලත් පොඩි පොඩි issues තිබුණා. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒකේ තිබුණ issues නිසා object oriented programming වගේ concepts මේ ලෝකෙට ආවා. Right? So that is how this object oriented came to this computing world. So not only this concept, we have some more concept. We have procedural computer programming, and then we have functional computer programming. So like that, we have different types of programming types. So object oriented is the most frequently, most practically used concept in the industry. So we choose object-oriented programming to teach for you, right? So that is the end of the very first lesson. So I have covered this lesson in the previous week. Before I start the today's session, I wanted to quickly summarize that because we had a small vacation. So some of you have already forgotten all these things. Because of that, I wanted to quickly summarize the first lesson and start lesson 2 today. Right. So do you have anything to clarify before I start lesson 2? I will give you 2 to 3 minutes to quickly go back, check the lesson, and take that into the mind and get ready your soul to the new lesson. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can ask. Right. So hope everything clear to you from the first lesson. So we can quickly start this lesson. Usually I do lectures in English medium, but if you need any Sinhala clarification, I'm happy to give you Sinhala clarification. Why I wanted to tell you, because sometimes your coordinators, your university ask me to add some Sinhala things to the lecture. Yes, we can do, because they all wanted to give you the maximum from this program. They hired qualified lecturers and they wanted to ensure you all are getting the content correctly. But I'm not a person who is doing the full lesson in Sinhala. Personally, I can't do that. The reason is this is an IT subject. IT subjects, for IT subjects, we use IT words, technical words. Most of these technical words are English. So I use English, and you can listen my recording, you can listen my thing, and you can grab words. You can understand it. If you are weak in English, so you can listen my recording again and try to grab the content. And at the same time, if you need my single explanation, please let me know, madam. So sorry, madam or miss, whatever, you can either use my name. And tell me, I can't understand that. මට ඒක තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. මට ඒක සිංහලෙන් explain කරන්න කියලා. So I'm very happy to do that because I know I also came from your background. I also had that difficulty in my university period. So lecturers help, some lecturers helped us, but some lecturers ignored that. But if you need any Sinhala clarification, please let me know. I will help you, right? So rather than I'm doing the lesson in English medium. Right. So these are the things we are going to cover today. When it comes to object-oriented programming, these are the main terms we study. Throughout the program, we study these terms. The terms are, we have object-oriented paradigm. Then we have something called 4 pillars of object-oriented programming. Then we have objects, classes, methods. So these are the words we use in this subject here and there. So first of all, we need to clarify that. Later we can step into programming part, right? So let's see what is object-oriented programming. Can someone tell me what you can understand by object-oriented programming? Or what you guess? What is this actually? Any of you have any ideas? කාටම හරි අයිඩියා එකක් තියෙනවද? මොකක්ද මේ object oriented programming කියන්නේ? මම කලින් explanation එකේදී කීප සැරයක්ම කිව්වා, but I'm happy to ask that from your side. What do you think about object oriented programming? Janit, are you there?
Madam,
Yes.
madam, මේ software එකක් develop කරද්දී මේ අර object නැත්තම් මේ පදනම් වෙලානේ කරන්නේ program approach එක.
Excellent, excellent. That is what we call as object-oriented programming. අපි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට මේ අපේ අවට තියෙන දේවල් දැන් ඇත්තටම ඔය softwares develop කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ මේ ලෝකේ අපි කරන දෙයක්. අපි manually කරන දෙයක් automate කරන එකනේ. දැන් ඉස්සර මිනිස්සු බැංක් එකට ගියා. හැබැයි ටික ටික develop වෙනකොට මිනිස්සුන්ට ඕකත් කරදරයක්. එතකොට මොකද උනේ? බැංක් එක ගෙනාවා කම්පියුටර් එක ඇතුළට. එහෙම නැත්නම් ස්මාර්ට්ෆෝන් එක ඇතුළට. ඊට පස්සේ අපි ගමු අපේ කම්පියුටර් එකේ තියෙන එක software එකක්. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ හැමෝම පාවිච්චි කරනවා MS Word, Microsoft Word. ඇයි? ඕගොල්ලෝ දැන් ලියුම් ලියන්න කැමති නැහැ. ඕගොල්ලෝ දැන් කොළවල ලියන්න කැමති නැහැ. වැරදුනහම ඒක අයින් කරලා තව කොළයක ලියන්න කැමති නැහැ. ලස්සන පාට පෑන් පාවිච්චි කරලා ලියන්න කැමති නැහැ. ඔය ඔක්කොම ලේසි කරලා MS Word තියෙනවා. එක විදියට ලස්සනට අකුරු ටික ටයිප් කරන්න පුළුවන්. කලර්ස් වෙනස් කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ නිසා අපි ලේසි ක්‍රමේ පාවිච්චි කරනවා. ඉස්සර ලිව්වේ අතින්. තව එක්සැම්පල් එකක් ගමුකෝ. දැන් ඔයාට ටීචර් කෙනෙක් එක්ක මොනවා හරි කතා කරන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට ඉස්සර නම් ටීචර් ක්ලාස් එක ඉවර වෙනකම් බලන් ඉන්නවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් ටීචර්ගේ ස්ටාෆ් රූම් එකට ගිහිල්ලා ඉඳලා එයා ෆ්‍රී වුණාම තමයි අත් එක්ක කතා කරන්නේ. හැබැයි දැන් එහෙම ඕනේ නැහැ. ටීචර්ට වෙලාව නැත්නම් මම මැසේජ් එකක් දානවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් මම ඊමේල් එකක් දානවා. අපි මැනුවලි කරපු දේවල් තමයි මේ කම්පියුටර් ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම්ස් වලින් කරන්නේ. මැනුවලි කරපු දේවල් අපි කම්පියුටර් ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එකෙන් කරනවා. ඉතින් මෙතනදී ඔයා තේරුම් ගන්න ඕනේ අපි මේ object oriented programming කියන concept එක පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ ඒකට. ඇයි? අපි ඇත්ත ලෝකයේ තියෙන දේවල් වලට software solutions දෙන්න යනවා. එතකොට ඇත්ත ලෝකයේ තියෙන දේවල් තමයි මේ software එක ඇතුළට රිංගවන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට මෙතන පාවිච්චි කරන concept එක තමයි object oriented programming. Wherever you want to convert a real world thing into a software, then you could use this object oriented programming. So object oriented programming is a concept. Is a concept developed by expert people in this field. So here what we do, we closely check the real world entities and we take those entities into the computer program. That is how we do object-oriented programming. If we don't have something called object-oriented programming, then we can't develop these kind of very realistic solutions. I hope you got the idea behind OOP. So OOP is the shortened version. Object-oriented programming is the expanded version. So now object-oriented programming is a concept. To do this concept, you use languages. So speaking is a concept. To do speak, we use languages. We use Sinhala, English, Tamil, those kind of languages we use. So same way, to do this object-oriented programming, we use languages. We call that languages as object-oriented programming languages. So Java is an object-oriented programming language. Python is an object-oriented programming language. C++ is an object-oriented programming language. So like that, we have languages. Speaking is the concept. Sinhala, Tamil, English are the languages. OOP is the concept. Java, Python, C++ are the languages. So that is how we get into object-oriented programming. So this is about the paradigm. So paradigm, the meaning behind this is concept. So the concept we follow when we do object-oriented programming. So when we do object-oriented programming, we basically follow this concept. We take real-world entities and we use them inside the program. So here a small picture to understand what I have told now. So here we have the complex world. So when you see the complex world, you can see real things. If it is a bank, when you go and see the processes of that bank, you will feel this is very complicated. This is very complex. Everyone going here and there, everyone busy, there's a queue, someone is handling a computer. It is very complex to understand. But we have to take that complexity into the computer. So inside the computer, we have to create a model for that. So for the physical bank, we have to create a model inside the computer. මේ ෆිසිකල් බෑන්ක් එක කොච්චර කොම්ප්ලෙක්ස් වුණත් කොච්චර කොම්ප්ලිකේටඩ් වුණත් ඔයාට ඒක තේරුම් ගන්න අමාරු වුණත් අපි ඒ දේ ගේන්න ඕනේ කම්පියුටර් එක ඇතුළට. එහෙම නැත්නම් ATM machines නැහැ. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඩිජිටල් බැංකින් නැහැ. ඒක තමයි මේකේ ස්වභාවය. අපි ඇත්ත ලෝකයේ වෙන දෙයක් ගත්තොත් ඒක හරිම complicated. ඒක හරිම complex. But when we take that into the computer, it is very nice and it is very easy to handle. So then you can interact with the computer and you can do the work. දැන් මේ ඇත්ත ලෝකේ තියෙන දෙයක්ම තමයි කම්පියුටර් එක ඇතුළට ගෙනාවේ. හැබැයි ඇත්ත ලෝකේ ඉන්න අයටම කම්පියුටර් එකත් එක්ක ගනුදෙනු කළා ඒ වැඩේ කරගන්න පුළුවන්. So this is the basic concept we carry throughout the object-oriented programming. And we came to the slide where we discuss about the 4 pillars of object-oriented programming. So pillar is not a big word. It is the same as principles. In each and every subject, we have something called principle. හැම සබ්ජෙක්ට් එකකම තියෙනවා principles කියලා જાතියක්. දැන් අපි අර ඉස්සර සයන්ස් ඉගෙන ගත්තේ. සයන්ස් ඉගෙන ගන්නකොට අර නිව්ටන් තියරි එක අර ඒ වගේ principles ඉගෙන ගත්තේ. ඔන්න ඕවා තමයි අපි මේ principles කියලා කියන්නේ. The basic things we need to focus when we study that concept or language. So in object-oriented programming, we have 4 principles. We have 4 concepts. So these are the concepts we use throughout the OOP concept. The 4 pillars are abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. I know these words are new to you. So these words are heavy to you. So please take a moment, take 2 to 3 minutes, take a pen and paper and write down these words: abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, and then do a self research on that. If you have access to Google, if you have access to ChatGPT or whatever the tool, please search on these things and try to understand their meaning before I explain. So usually when I do lectures for students, I make sure they will remember all these things at the end of the lesson. මම ගොඩාක් වෙලාවට lessons කරනකොට lesson එකේදීම student මේක පාඩම් කරවනවා. So that is how I practiced during my 6 years of academic experience. සමහර දේවල් එහෙම කරන්න බෑ. You have to refer that again and again. But for some things you can do. Right? So now grab a pen and paper and write these 4 terms and try to do a small self research and translate this to Sinhala and then check what is the meaning and put these words into chat GPT and ask them to give very simple explanation and try to understand it from your point. So after 2 to 3 minutes, I will ask you what are the meanings and then I will explain those things in detail. Right. So any ideas from your side? What do you mean by abstraction? So abstraction is the act of representing essential features without including the background details. දැන් සමහර වෙලාවල් තියෙනවා අපිට background details පෙන්වන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. Just important things, just essential features. We call that attitude as abstraction in the technical world. ඒ කියන්නේ abstract කරගන්නවා කියන එකේ සිංහල meaning එක ඔය උරා ගන්නවා කියන එකනේ. දැන් ගොඩක් වෙලාවට හොඳ කෝ එක උරා ගන්නවා. කියන්නේ එතන පෙන්වන්නේ කීපයයි. absorb කරගත්තට පස්සේ. We call that as abstraction. So we use this in our code. When we use programs, when we use this thing in our code, you all can understand that. Then the encapsulation. It is the wrapping up of data and methods into a single unit. The best example that I can take to explain this is your medicine capsule. So if I take the medicine capsule, inside the capsule we have medicine. So there's a cover. So until you open that cover, you can't see what's inside. So this is what we call as capsule. So we have a cover, we have a wrapping up process. Inside that, we put all essential things. In the technical world, we called it as data, methods. We put all these into a place and we cover up. We called it as encapsulation. And then inheritance. So how I explain this thing to you? Let's take your generation and your parents' generation and your grandparents' generation. So some people say, when you see, so you look like your mother. Your hair is looks like your father's hair. So like that, they will tell you have inherited few things from your previous generations. So same way in this technical world, we use that concept. So we have a concept called classes. So let's say you are the class and your parent also a class. So they are the parent class, you are the child class. You inherit things from your parent class. It is the inheritance. And then we have polymorphism, the ability of an object to exist in many forms. So at a given time, so now you all are listening to my voice, you all are checking the PowerPoint content, and some of you are checking WhatsApp status, some of you are checking scroll down Facebook. So like that, you can do multiple things in a at the same time. We called it as polymorphism. So these are the four pillars we usually use in this object-oriented programming. Throughout the lecture series, we will be using these things here and there, and the entire concept built on these four principles. So when you see this thing, you will feel this is very difficult. I can't understand this. But when you practically use these things, you will realize these are very interesting and how these practical things, natural things came to this subject. So this is about the four pillars of object-oriented programming. So now we are slowly getting to the lesson. We are going to discuss about objects. So Janit told me that at the very beginning when I asked about the object-oriented concept. So in this concept, we take objects into the programming. Yes, we do that. Obviously, we do that. So we take real world things as objects. So now we are slowly converting real world things into a computer program. So step by step, I'm teaching that process to you. So how we do that? We take all real world things. We can call those as entities. We take these things as objects to the program. So if I give you some examples, here we have a lot of examples. We have a baby, we have a car, then we have a cat, sunset, a pineapple, lion, light or a bulb, then we have a snake, tree, flower. So these are some of examples for real world objects. So when you do computer programming, you take all these things into the program. So let's say you are going to develop a small software for babies. So then you have to take babies as objects to the program. So then you are doing a small program for cars, vehicles. Then you have to take those vehicles as main objects for the program. You are developing a software to detect cats. පූසෝ ඉන්න තැන් මොනවද කියලා හොයාගන්න software එකක් හදනවා. So then you have to take a cat as the object. So you are developing a software to check the sunset, the time. So then you have to take sunset as the program object. And then you are going to develop computer program, a software to plug the harvest of this pineapple, and then you have to take pineapple as the object. And then like that, if we take real world things, you have to convert it to an object. So now this is how we do that. So now you know these are the real world things. We take these as objects when we do computer programming. So now step by step, we are going to check how we are going to do that. So now take a pen and paper and write this thing in your paper. So whatever the object we take, it should have two things. The two things are state and behavior. If a particular thing has not these two, we can't take that as an object. මොනවා හරි දෙයකට මේ දෙකම නැත්තම් එයාව object එකක් විදියට ගන්න බෑ. මේ දෙකම තියෙනවා නම් විතරයි අපිට object එකක් විදිහට ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ. Right. So let's take state. So state is whether we can collect data. So now let's take baby. So can we collect data under baby? Yes, we can. Baby has a name, baby has age, baby has a date of birth, baby has parents. So like that, we can collect data. If we have 10 babies, we can collect those data for all 10 babies. So if we can collect data like that, then we put that into under object. So then the next thing is behavior. Whether this baby can perform something. Baby is crying, baby is eating, baby is laughing, walking. So like that, they have some behaviors. If a particular thing has these two, then we can take that thing as an object. දැන් ඕනම දෙයකට මේ දේවල් දෙක තියෙනවා නම් ඔයාට එයාව object එකක් විදිහට ගන්න පුළුවන්. Right? So now take your pen, paper and write down these 5 examples. Flower, first example. Second example, run, R-U-N. අපි දුවනවා කියලා කියන්නේ. Third example, vehicles. Fourth example, cry. And fifth example, butterfly. So now you have to write whether these are objects or not. So how you consider that? First, you have to understand whether this object has state behavior. Both should be there. දෙකෙන් එකක් විතරක් තියබොත් බෑ. මේ දෙකම තියෙනවනේ. මුලින්ම ගන්න butterfly. එයාට ස්ටේට් එකක් තියෙනවද? yes. බටර්ෆ්ලයිස්ලා 10 දෙනෙක් ගත්තොත් එයාලා යටතේ ඩීටේල්ස් කලෙක්ට් කරන්න පුළුවන්. එයාගේ කලර් එක, එයාගේ ලෙන්ත් එක, එයාගේ ටයිප් එක, සයන්ටිෆික් නේම් එක. ඒ කියන්නේ ලස්සන ටේබල් එකක් ගහන්න පුළුවන්. නේම් කියන කොලම් එක දාලා 5 දෙනාගේම නම්. වයස 5 දෙනාගේම වයස. behaviors එයාලු behaviors තියනවා, කරන දේවල් තියනවා, fly කරනවා. ඒ වගේ behaviors ගන්න පුළුවන්. So you have to take these two. Both these should be there in order to do the work. Right? So now grab your pen and paper. I want to write down whether it is an object or not. I don't remember what are the examples I gave, but you have to write whether it is object or not in front of those words. Yes, I received Nuantika's answer. According to Nuantika, flower is an object. Correct. So Anuttara also saying that flower is an object. Vehicle also an object. Butterfly also an object. So according to Nuantika and Anuttara, these three are object. And Nuantika mentioned that run and cry not an objects. Excellent. So that is the answer I wanted to get from you. So if it is an object, we should able to list down both state and behaviors. But if I take cry, it is just a behavior. It doesn't have any state. So you should have to collect data and behaviors nicely when you go with objects. And here these are some examples. So under data, you can collect baby's name, baby's age, weight, date of birth. දැන් බබාලා 10 දෙනෙක් ගත්තොත් මේ 10 දෙනාගේ data ලස්සනට fill කරන් යන්න පුළුවන්. Name, age, weight. We can collect data. And then these are the behaviors all babies perform: laugh, drink, sleep, and cries. Let's take the second example. It is a car. So car also an object because car has a state and car has a behavior. So if it is state, the color, model, price, cylinder capacity, we can take under state of car. So if we have 10 cars, we can collect data under each and every car. And these are the things car usually does: driven, stop, turn, and reversed. So that is how we pick objects from the real world environment. So already you know what is object-oriented programming. So this is where you do computer programming for real world. So you take real world things and you consider all these things as objects and you do a program to give the solution. So that is what we call as object-oriented programming. And the languages we use to do this programming we called as object-oriented programming languages. So this is the big picture to understand this concept. Same thing. So here we have a cow. We can see this cow in the real world. This is a real cow. And we know we can take this cow as an object because cow has both data and behaviors. So we take this as an object. So this is the object we create inside the computer, right? So here we have the software or whatever the thing. So now we are going to discuss about classes. So class is something like this. So in class, what we do, we collect similar objects and we put these objects into a one specific place. And then we called it as a class, right? So now you take babies. So let's say we have 10 babies. So now you analyze their ages, addresses, weights, everything you analyze. And then you realize all these are similar. So then you put them into a one particular place and then you name this as babies class. So if babies have same or similar things, then you can put all these things into a one particular place. We called it as a class. මේ class එකකදී කරන්න ළමයි අපි එක විදියේ අය එකට එකතු කරලා අපි හදනවා ගෲප් එකක්. දැන් අපි ඉස්කෝලේ තියෙන්නේ අපේ ක්ලාසස් ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ක්ලාස් එකේ ඉන්නේ එකම අවුරුද්දේ ඉපදිච්ච අය. එයාලා උස, බර, පෙනුම, ඒ කියන්නේ මං කියන්නේ අපියරන්ස් එක ගොඩක් වෙලාවට එක සමානයි. ඒ නිසා තමයි ඒගොල්ලන්ව අපි එකක් ක්ලාස් එකකට දාලා ඒගොල්ලන්ව නේම් කරන්නේ ක්ලාස් එකක් විදිහට. grade 9, grade 10, so like that we give classes. So here also we do the same thing. So we put similar things together and we prepare a class for that. So the formal definition for class is a class is a category or group of things that have similar attributes and common behaviors. So this is the animal class. දැන් මේ animal class එක කිව්වහම animal කියන category එකට අයිති වෙන ඕනම කෙනෙක් මේ animal class එකට දාන්න පුළුවන්. Right? But inside that, if you want, we can put subcategories. දැන් අපි ඉස්කෝලේ grade 9 කිව්වහම grade 9A, grade 9B, grade 9C, like that we have few subclasses. So here also under animal class, we have subclasses. So all these are put under animal, and inside that we have the bird class, mammal class. So like that we have different classes. So here we have the bird class. දැන් කුරුල්ලෙක් කියලා අපි හොයාගන්නේ එයාට කුරුල්ලෙක්ගේ තියෙන features තියෙනවා. So we know it is a bird. So then we put that animal into the bird class. So that is what we call as a class. And then we have mammal. So what do you mean by mammal? Mammal is also an animal, and we have a subcategory for that. So like that, we put all things into one particular place and then we name it as a class. එක වගේ ඒවා එකට එකතු කරලා ඒකට class එකක් කියලා කියනවා. Right. So this is another definition for a class. So what is that? All objects may be categorized in an abstract way according to their common characteristics and behaviors. So here we mainly focus the characteristics, the data. If it is a class, everyone has the same category, everyone has the same behaviors. So this is an example to understand how we create classes in a code, right? So I will show you how to do that step by step. So now we understood what are the things that we can take under objects and how we convert this into a particular technical thing. And now I'm going to show you how we do the coding part for those things. Right. So in this particular example, what we are going to do, we are going to modeling a traffic simulation. So when we do this traffic simulation, let's say we are going to develop a small program in order to do handling traffic or something like that. So now we are going to slowly develop this into a computer program. So now you will ask these questions from you. What is the color of a car? How fast a car can be driven? Where it is right now? So can you ask these three questions from a car class? So if you have 10 cars in your car class, and can you ask these three questions from the class? No. These are for individual elements, individual cars in your car class. So you will need a specific car to answer these questions. Why? A car can refer to any car, right? So if it is a particular car, so let's say consider a car that refers to my old car. So what is the color of car? It is black because it specifically address one item in the class. How fast it can be driven? 20 kilometers per hour. Where it is right now, parked on my logs in my home garage. So this talk about one instance of a car. මේ car class එකේ තියෙන එක car එකක් ගැන තමයි මෙතන කතා කරන්නේ. Right. So what creates objects? A class is a blueprint mold from which individual objects are created. මේ class එක කියලා කියන්නේ mold එකක්. මං හිතනවා ඔයගොල්ලෝ mold කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියන එක දන්නවා. Mold කියලා කියන්නේ අච්චුවක්. එතකොට objects produce කරන අච්චුවක් තමයි class කියලා කියන්නේ. Right? එතකොට මේක ඇතුළේ තියෙන එක class එකක් අපේ instance එකක් විදියට consider කරනවා. An object is an instance of a class. So this is how we do that class. So this is how we create classes. So first of all, I would like to give you time to grab your paper and pen, write down this part, right? Let me go back because I'm going to show you how to do that. From this to this. So in your paper, write this thing and get ready for my explanation. So this is how we convert that car class into a technical class. දැන් අපි මෙච්චර වෙලා කතා කරේ අපේ ගෙදර ගරාජ් එකේ තියෙන cars ගැන. දැන් මම කතා කරන්න යන්නේ කෝඩ් එක ඇතුලේ එක හදන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා. ඊට කලින් ඔයා මේක ලියා ගන්න, ලියාගෙන රෙඩි වෙන්න. මං කියලා දෙන්නම් කොහොමද ඒක වර්ක් වෙන්නේ කියන එක. Right. So here, this is how we convert that car class into objects and classes like this. දැන් ඔයා හිතන්න ඔයාගේ ගෙදර කාර් එකේ ගෙදර ගරාජ් එකේ මේක තමයි ගරාජ් එක. දැන් මේක ඇතුලේ cars පහක් තියෙනවා. Right? 1 2 3 4 5. දැන් මේකේ නම තමයි car. Right? මේ තියෙන්නේ ඒක ඇතුලේ තියෙන cars. දැන් මේක තමයි අපි convert කරන්න යන්නේ car class එකකට. So how you do that? First of all, you have to find the class. So this is the class name. So you have to put the class name here. And then we have a round. So this is our garage. So you have to show that limitation. So this is where we start that round. This is where we stop that round. And inside this, we have 5 cars. So this is the first car, this is the second car, this is the third car, this is the fourth car, and this is the fifth car. So this is how we do that. So let me show you this thing again. I'm going to open a Word document. Right, Microsoft Word. So now let's draw the class first. So this is my garage, right? So here we have the car. This is my class. So first of all, you have to decide a name for the class. So according to this, I'm going to take the car as the class name because you can give whatever the name you want. So if you are talking about flowers, you can take flower as the class name. So you have to give a common name for that entire class. And you have to convert this to code. How you convert? Write the word class and then car. Then put curly brackets. So this curly bracket shows this round. මේ ඇඳපු රවුම තමයි curly bracket එකෙන් පෙන්නන්නේ. දැන් මේ මම ඇඳපු දේම කෝඩ් එකට කන්වර්ට් කරා. කා කියන්නේ ක්ලාස් එකේ නම. මෙතන ක්ලාස් කියලා දුන්නේ. එතකොට කෝඩ් එක දාන්නවා මේ කතා කරන්නේ ක්ලාස් එක ගැන කියලා. දැන් මේක ඇතුලේ තියෙනවා එක එක කාර්. So දැන් හිතන්න මෙතන තියෙනවා red color car එක. This is purple color car එක. ඊට පස්සේ තව car එකක් තියෙනවා red color car. මේ ඔක්කොම cars, right? see green color car එකකුත් තියෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ තව blue color car එකකුත් තියෙනවා. ඔන්න cars 4ක් තියෙනවා. දැන් මම මේ ටික මෙන්න මේ කෝඩ් එකට ගන්න යන්නේ. කොහොමද ඒක කරන්නේ? Right. So here what we are going to do is we are going to create these 4 classes in my code. So how you do that? First take class name and then you can give a name for the class. So I'm going to write red color car and then equal new car. Then round brackets and semicolon. So this is the place where you can give a name. දැන් මේක අපි convert කරනකොට code එකකට මෙන්න මෙතන තමයි ඔයාට එකම chance එක ඔයාට කැමති නමක් දෙන්න. මෙතන ඔයාට පුළුවන් කාර් එකේ නම BMW whatever the name you can type here. And here this is the class name. You have to take that class name directly from here. And then new. Why we write new? Because I am going to create a new class to this particular car class. Is that that one? Oh, when if I must live on there. I'll think it out, put what the marker, hold on, oh, that I, huh? Right. So then, like this, we can create all other classes. So let's take second car. Let's take green color. Green color car. And then new car. Right. So let's take next one. Car, purple color. Purple color car. Equal new car. Then we have blue color car. Right. So this is how we do same thing in our code. දැන් අපි අර ගෙදර තිබුණ ගරාජ් එක කාර් 4ක් තියෙන ගරාජ් එක කාර් ක්ලාස් එක මෙන්න මෙහෙම තමයි කෝඩ් එකකට කන්වර්ට් කරේ. Right? So I'll back to my presentation. So this is, you have to understand the concept, right? So then we can apply this concept wherever you want. The මෙතන ඔයා මුලින්ම තේරුම් ගන්න ඕනේ අපි කරන්න යන්නේ ඇත්තටම තියෙන දෙයක් කෝඩ් එකකට කන්වර්ට් කරන එක. කම්පියුටර් ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑමින් වල අපි ඒක තමයි කරන්නේ. අපි මේ ලෝකේ ඇත්තටම දකින දේවල් අපි කෝඩ්ස් වලට කන්වර්ට් කරන එක තමයි කම්පියුටර් ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑමින් වල කරන්නේ. දැන් මුලින්ම අපි කරන්න යන්නේ මේ ඇත්ත ලෝකයේ තියෙන ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් එකක් කෝඩ් එකකට කන්වර්ට් කරන එක. දැන් ඇත්ත ලෝකයේ ඔබ්ජෙක්ට්ස් තියෙනවා, ක්ලාසස් තියෙනවා. දැන් ඒක අපිට හොයාගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක ලේසි. හැබැයි අමාරු දේ තමයි මේක කෝඩ් එකකට කන්වර්ට් කරන එක. දැන් කෝඩ් එකකට කන්වර්ට් කරන්නේ මෙහෙමයි. දැන් අපි මෙතන ගත්ත එක්සාම්පල් එක තමයි කා. කා කියන්නේ ක්ලාස් එකක්. ඒ කියන්නේ එක විදියේ vehicles තියෙනවා. ඔයා කාර් එකක් කියලා දෙයක් හඳුනගන්න ක්‍රයිටීරියාස් තියෙනවා. ඒ ක්‍රයිටීරියාස් වලට දාන්න පුළුවන් හැම එකම අපි කාර් කියන ක්ලාස් එකට දානවා. දැන් මේ එක්සාම්පල් එකේ විදිහට නම් මෙතන කාර් පහක් තියෙනවා. අපි පාට අනුව ගත්තොත් yellow color, green color, blue color, maroon and pink. So these are the 5 cars we have in the car. දැන් ඔයාගේ ගෙදර ගරාජ් එකේ හිතන්න කාර් පහක් තියෙනවා මෙන්න මේ පාට පහෙන්. ඔයාට ඕනේ මේකට සිස්ටම් එකක් හදන්න. සිස්ටම් එක හදන්න කලින් ඔයා ඒක කන්වර්ට් කරගන්න ඕනේ මේ වගේ ක්ලාස් එකකට. ඒක කරන්නේ මෙහෙමයි. මුලින්ම බලන්න ඕනේ ඔයාගේ ක්ලාස් එකේ නම. මෙතනදී ඔයාට ඕන නමක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑමින් ලැන්ග්වේජ් එකක් පාවිච්චි කරනකොට සමහර තැන් තියෙනවා ඔයාට ඔයාගේ නේම්ස් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඔයා කැමති නමක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි සමහර තැන් තියෙනවා එහෙම බෑ. ලැන්ග්වේජ් එකෙන් දෙන වචනම පාවිච්චි කරන්න ඕනේ. දැන් මෙතන ක්ලාස් කියන්නේ ඒ වගේ වචනයක්. ක්ලාස් කියන්නේ ලැන්ග්වේජ් එකෙන් දීපු වචනයක්. ඔයාට කෝඩ් එක ඇතුලේ ක්ලාස් එකක් හදන්න ඕන නම් ඔයා මුලින්ම ලියන්න ඕනේ ක්ලාස් කියන වර්ඩ් එක. දැන් මෙතන ඔයාට පේන ඔක්කොම letters simple. ඇයි? මේක ලැන්ග්වේජ් එකෙන් දීලා තියෙන්නේ. දීලා තියෙන විදියටම ඔයා ලියන්න ඕන නැත්තම් වැරදි. කා කියලා කියන්නේ ඔයා දෙන නම. ඔයාට ඕනම නමක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඕනනම් ඔක්කොම කැපිටල් කරන්න පුළුවන්. මෙතනදී ඔයා දෙන නම් ඔයාට ඕන විදියට වෙනස් කරන්න පුළුවන්. But some words are there like keywords. You can't change those words like the word class. Right? So here we have car and then you have to show the scope. දැන් class එකක් නම් ඒක පොඩි බවුන්ඩරි එකක් ඇතුළෙනේ තියෙන්නේ. අන්න ඒක තමයි මේ කර්ලි බ්‍රැකට්ස් වලින් පෙන්වන්නේ. කර්ලි බ්‍රැකට් එක මෙතනින් පටන් ගත්තා. කර්ලි බ්‍රැකට් එක මෙතනින් ඉවර කරා. මේක තමයි ක්ලාස් එක. දැන් ක්ලාස් එක ඇතුළේ ඔයාට එක ක්ලාසස් හදන්න පුළුවන්. එතනදී ඔයාට වෙනස් කරන්න පුළුවන් එකම දේ තමයි ළමයි මේ පාටින් ලියලා තියෙන ඒවා. එතනට ඔයාට කැමති නමක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. අනිත් කිසිම දෙයක් වෙනස් කරන්න බෑ. අපි මෙතන කාර් ලිව්වේ කොහොමද? ඒ විදියටම මෙතන ලියන්න ඕනේ. මේවා තමයි මේ කෝඩින් ලැන්ග්වේජ් එකේ තියෙන පැටර්න්ස්. right? මෙතන තියෙන වර්ඩ් එක හැම්ම ලිව්වා. ඊට පස්සේ ඔයාගේ ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් එකට නමක් දෙන්න ඕනේ. කැමති නමක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. equal new. new කියන වර්ඩ් එකෙන් ඔයාගේ කෝඩ් එක තේරුම් ගන්නවා මෙයා මේ කියන්නේ අලුත් කාර් එකක් ගැන කියලා. ඊට පස්සේ car within round brackets you can write this. So this is how we create objects. ඔයාට පේනවා මේ ඔක්කොම එක වගේ. එකම වෙනස මෙන්න මේ පාට වල තියෙනවා විතරයි. ඒවට ඔයාට කැමති නමක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් හිතන්න ඔයා flowers කියන class එක create කරන්න යන්න. So I will give you that as an activity. So let me open a Word document. This is very important and critical because you should understand this thing before you step into other things, right? So now this is the class. class name is flower. Here we have 4 flowers. Rose, sunflower, lily, orchid. So these are the 4 flowers we have in my flower class. So now you have to take this into a code. So you can check with the class and then write the code for this one. So you have to take a class, give a name for that, and then you can take one by one uh, entities for each and every flower. Right. So with this, I'm going to give you a small break. So now it is 2:35. You can take a 15 minutes break. Do this example, do this question in the break and then come back after 15 minutes. Right. So I need your answers. I need this as a code. I'll check your code after the break. I'm just checking your answers. Let me check. Yes. Um, who sent me the answers? Nuantika. Um, class flower. Yes, very good. Nissan Salah. Very good. I'm checking Anuttara's answer. Yes, that also correct. Good. Aisha, Janit, your answer also correct. Ashvika, your answer also correct. Mihirani, your answer also correct. Very good. So that is how we convert a real world class into computer program. Right. So this is how we do that. First, we have to give a name for the class. So in this case, you can think about what is about, how about the class. You can check all these things and then you can give a name. So you have to write that class name as a single word. So you know some situations are there. You have to write it in two words. But here what we supposed to do is we have to take that into one word. So flower is the word we took. And then you have to write the word class. Here C should be capital. So now we are giving instructions to computer. The first instruction is create a class and name it as flower. So then your computer will create a class like this. And then you have to show the boundary where you start it and where you end it. You have to show that. And then inside this, you can create your flowers, individual flowers, all instances. So first we have rose. This is the name. This is the unique name we use to define that flower. You can give whatever the name you want. But before that, you have to write the word flower. It is the class name. So how you wrote it here, you have to write it here exactly in the same way. And then equal new flower. So always we use the word new to tell your computer we are working with a new instance, new element. So then your computer knows, now I'm going to work with a new object. Like that, you can do the work. So this is how we create classes in computer programming. Right. So here, this is another method. Usually we do this before we do the computer program. So before we do the computer program, we can create a small notation like this. Notation in the sense a small symbol, right? So you can use this symbol before you do the code. So how you do that? You can draw a rectangle like this and you can take the first partition as the class name and then you can write the data, name, author, price like this and then the method. So I will explain all these things later just to now keep this in your memory. We take a rectangle, we divide it into three partitions and we take first partition for the class name, second partition for the data declaration, third partition for the method. So here we have the difference between class and object for your final exam. For your end exam, definitely there'll be a question based on this, because your understanding about this concept is important to go with this computer programming and all. So class is a description of the common properties of set of object. අපි හැමතිස්සෙම class එකේදී කරන්නේ object එකක තියෙන common properties explain කරනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ class එකක් කියලා කිව්වා මේක common දෙයක්. දැන් කවුරු හරි ටීචර් කෙනෙක් ඇවිල්ලා කියනවා grade A class එක මෙහෙමයි 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 කියලා. එතකොට එයා commonly කතා කරන්නේ මේ class එකම ගැන. grade A class එකම ගැන. Right? Class always talk about some common properties, some common attributes. But when it comes to object, it represent single element. It always represent a single instance. So that is the main difference between a class and object. So then when we talk about these actions, the behavior of a particular object, we slowly convert it to a method. දැන් මේ අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් දකින හැම දෙයක්ම ටික ටික අපි methods වලට convert කරනවා. So here also we are going to do that thing. දැන් අපි මෙච්චර කාල action එක behavior එක කියලා කතා කරපු එක අපි slowly convert කරනවා method එකකට. Right. So this is how we implement that, and this is how we do that. Right. So that is the end of this lesson. Since we have more time, we can start another lesson. So do you have any questions based on this lesson before I jump into the next lesson? Let me upload this to the chat. Then y'all can download this and keep it with you. Both day 1 and day 2, I have uploaded to chat, download and keep it with you. Since you all have no questions from this, I'm going to start new lesson. Right. So most probably from next week onwards, we can start our practicals. So today we will cover the third lesson, and then we can quickly jump into the practical part. So in the third lesson, what I'm going to discuss is, I'm going to discuss Java. Because now you all know what is this object-oriented concept and how we do this thing. And here now we need to choose a particular programming language to implement this thing. So that is what I'm going to do now. දැන් අපි object-oriented concept කියලා කියන්නේ මෙතන පාවිච්චි කරන එක දෙයක් විතරයි. object-oriented concept කියන්නේ අපි පාවිච්චි කරන එක දෙයක් විතරයි. දැන් මේක අපි convert කරගන්න ඕනේ මොකක් හරි programming language එකකට. Programming language එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ අපි පාවිච්චි කරන language එක මේ දේ code කරන්න. දැන් අපි ඇත්තටම ලෝකයේ දකින දේ, real world එකේ දකින දේ අපි ගන්න ඕනේ code එක ඇතුළට. ඒක කරන්න අපිට programming language එකක් ඕන වෙනවා. So here we are going to talk about that thing. So we are going to use Java as the programming language. So I want to tell you how to um, use this Java in your computer program. Before you start coding with Java, you have to install Java because it is a programming language. If you don't have Java in your computer, then you'll have to download and install that thing. So before downloading, installing Java, you should understand the basic theory of this. So in this lesson, I'm going to talk about the basic theory part. So here we are going to start the birth of Java. So when it comes to this Java, it has introduced in 1995. That is the birth of Java. So Java as a programming language introduced to the world in 1995. And there's a team called Green Team in USA. So they developed this Java computer program, and this green team belongs to a company called Sun Microsystems. So later they changed their name to Oracle. So now they are using that name, Oracle, as the official name of the group. So they developed this Java as the programming language. මේ Java කියලා කියන්නේ USA වල establish කරපු USA වල develop කරපු programming language එකක් 1995 වල තමයි මේක develop කරේ. මේකට මුල් වෙච්ච company එක තමයි Sun Microsystem කියලා කියන්නේ. එතකොට දැන් ඒගොල්ලෝ නම වෙනස් කරලා තියෙනවා Oracle. දැන් ඕගොල්ලෝ Java ගැන search කරොත් ඕගොල්ලන්ට ගොඩක් වෙලාවට දකින්න හම්බෙන්නේ Oracle develop කරා කියලා. හැබැයි මුල්ම කාලේ Oracle කියන නමින් නෙමෙයි ඒගොල්ලෝ company එක තිබුණේ. company එක තිබුණේ Sun Microsystems කියලා. එතකොට මේක ඩිවලොප් කරේ එක ගෲප් එකක්. ඒක ලීඩ් කරේ ජේම්ස් ගොස්ලින් කියන ඉන්වෙන්ටර්. එතකොට එයාගේ අතින් තමයි මේ Java කියන programming language එක මුලින්ම ලෝකෙට introduce කරේ. So this was designed for the development of software consumer electronic devices like TV, VCR, etc. So that is the basic requirement. For that requirement, they developed this Java. And then they have developed the very first Java program. We called it as Juke. This is the mascot, Java mascot, and the symbol for that program. This is a very nice animated touch screen character. When someone touch, this will work. So that is how it works. In 1995, they have developed this Java, and then at the beginning they use awk for this programming language. At the beginning they didn't use Java, but later because of some legal um, issues they had to convert this word to Java. So now Java is a programming language. If someone wants to use Java, they have to install it in the computer because Java includes so many things. So they put all those things into a package and they give it as a development kit. With Java, we have something called Java development kit. මේ Java development kit කියන්නේ දැන් Java කියන්නේ programming language එකක්. එකේ ගොඩාක් දේවල් කරන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට මෙතනින් දැන් හිතන්නකෝ ඔයා මොනවා හරි graph generate කරන්න ඕනේ. user කෙනෙක්ගේ input ගන්න ඕනේ, advanced maths කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒ වගේ දේවල් වලදී අපි මොකද කරේ? තියෙන language එකෙන් ඒ දේවල් handle කරගත්තා. ඒ කියන්නේ අපි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට Java වල මේ හැම දෙයකටම solution එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒගොල්ලෝ ඒ හැම එකක්ම එක තැනකට එකතු කරලා package එකක් විදියට මිනිස්සුන්ට දෙනවා Java development kit කියලා. කාට හරි Java code කරන්න ඕන නම් Java practice කරන්න ඕන නම් එයා මුලින්ම කරන්න ඕනේ මේ Java development kit එක install කරගන්න එක. දැන් ওই Java development kit එකෙත් එක එක releases ආවා. ඒ කියන්නේ තියෙන version එක පොඩ්ඩක් improve කරලා තව version එකක්. ඒ වගේ time to time they have introduced some new releases. So in 1997, JDK 1.1 has introduced, 1998 1.2, then J2EE, so then SDK 1.3. So these are just different names. They use it for the same product for different names. So that is how Java improved. And now we have Java 25. So the latest version is Java 25. So if you search it in the internet or web, you will understand the latest version. It is Java 25. So now we are going to discuss about Java features, because everyone should understand why we should select Java, why we want to use Java for computer programs. The very first feature is both compile and interpreter. So in Java, we can do both compilation and interpretation. As I told you at the very beginning, when we do computer programming, we are talking to computer. We are giving instructions to your computer. So your computer can't understand our words, our language. So we have to convert whatever the thing into zeros and ones. So that conversion we consider as compilation and interpretation. So we convert our language into 0 and 1. So when it's come to computer programming languages, for most of other programming languages, they can't do this thing. So if we use that kind of programming language, we have to maintain a separate tool to do that translation. But here in Java, we have both features together. We can do compilation, we can do interpretation when we use Java. මේ compilation, interpretation කියන්නේ දෙකක්. දැන් අපි මොකක් හරි programming language එකක් ගත්තොත් ඒක එකපාරම 0 1 වලට translate කරන්න බෑ. ඒකේ පළවෙනිම step එක තමයි compilation. Compilation කියන්නේ අපේ language එක convert කරනවා byte code එකකට. byte code එක කියලා කියන්නේ අර 0 1 කියන ක්‍රමේ නෙවෙයි, හැබැයි ඊට කිට්ටු දෙයක්. interpretation එකේදී කරන්නේ byte code එක 0 1 වලට convert කරන එක. So these are the two steps we have in that translation process. So in Java, Java has both features, compilation, interpretation. Java can do both. Right. So before that, I would like to give you 2 to 3 minutes to quickly read the slide and understand it. Then I will quickly explain more about this. to show you how this compilation and interpretation work, you can go through this process. So this is how the entire code works, right? So first we use a text editor. Text editor is a tool where you use to write the code. ඔයාගේ කෝඩ් එක ලියන්න ගන්න text editor එක. ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් letter එකක් ලියන්න word document එකක් පාවිච්චි කරනවා වගේ ඔයාගේ කෝඩ් එක ඔයා මොකක හරි ලියන්න ඕනේ. word document එකක්, notepad එක, මොකක් හරි එකක කෝඩ් එක ලියන්න ඕනේ. ඒ ලියන tool එකට තමයි text editor කියලා කියන්නේ. ඊට පස්සේ ඔයා මේක save කරන්න ඕනේ Java file එකක් විදිහට. ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් Word document එකක් කියලා ඔයා හොයාගන්න ඒකේ අන්තිමට තියෙනවා .docs කියන extension එක. .docs කියලා කියන්නේ Word extension එකක්. Word document එකක් නම් ඒකේ type එක, file type එක. ඒ වගේ Java file එකක් නම් ඒක Java කියන file type එක අනුව තමයි ලියන්න ඕනේ. ඔයා ලියන එක ඔයා save කරන්න ඕනේ Java file එකක් විදිහට. ඊට පස්සේ මුලින්ම කරන්නේ compilation එක. compilation එකේදී කරන්නේ ඔයාගේ code එක convert කරනවා byte code එකකට. byte code එකක් කියන්නේ machine code එක නෙවෙයි. ඊට අතරමැද එකක්. මේක එකපාර convert කරන්න අමාරුයි. ඒ නිසා තමයි ඔයා ලියපු code එක English words තියෙන code එක compile කරලා byte code එකක් generate කරන්න. ඊට පස්සේ byte code එක convert කරනවා translation එකකට. translation එකේදී කෙලින්ම ඒ byte code එක 01 වලට convert වෙනවා. ඔයාගේ computer එකට 01 understand කරගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක through එයා instruction by instructions තේරුම් ගන්නවා. So this is what we call as the process. This is a sample code for byte code. byte code එක කියන්නේ මේකට. දැන් ඔයාලට පේනවා මේක ගොඩාක්ම තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි මේක සාමාන්‍යයෙන් understandable. මේ වගේ එකක් තමයි byte code එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ. අපි byte code එක translation එකේදී 01 වලට convert කරනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ මේක එකපාර කරන්න බෑ. එකපාර ඔයාගේ code එක 01 වලට convert කරන්න බෑ. ඒක convert කරන්නේ මුලින්ම ඒක byte code එකකට convert කරලා ඊට පස්සේ තමයි ඒක අපි machine code එකකට convert කරන්නේ. එක තමයි අපිට compilation interpretation කියලා දෙකක් තියෙන්නේ. Then the next feature is platform independence and portable. So here this talking about you can run Java in wherever you want. You can run Java in whatever the platform you have. So if you have old computer, if you have new computer, if you have MacBook, if you have Windows, laptop, desktop, in whatever the computer type, you can run Java. That is that feasibility we call as platform independent. And the third feature is object oriented. So before I step into this lesson, I took that lesson and in there I discussed about this object oriented concept. These are the 4 principles we have in this subject. So if something is an object oriented programming, it should have all these features. So since Java has all these features, we consider it as a good programming language. So this is an example for abstract. Abstract is the first pillar of principle of this object-oriented programming. So I ask you the question, what is for dinner? Then you said some food. It's very simple answer. But behind that, we have a huge process. From your answer, I can't understand that. But there's a huge process behind that. But I'm not telling those details, unnecessary details to you. I just tell some food. So in that, you have to go to the supermarket. You have to select some food items, pay the bill, bring them home. There's a huge process behind that. We called it as abstraction. අපි abstraction කියන්නේ ගොඩක් වෙලාවට අපි හැමදේම කියන්නේ නැහැ. හැමදේම පෙන්වන්නේ නැහැ code එකේ. We just show only essential things. And then we have the next feature, it is distributed. So you can do this computer programming with Java, and you can easily combine it with other languages, other platforms. You can distribute it very easily. So we called it as distributed feature. And the next feature is robust and secure. So when it comes to a computer programming language, we mainly focus the security because we are developing a system, we are developing a software. So we have to think about that security. If someone can easily hack our system, if someone can easily breach our system, then no point of doing that. So you have to make sure you are developing the correct and right software. So we need to establish that robust and security. Then the next thing, multi-threaded. So you know some programming languages are there. They can't handle multiple things at the same time. So if they can't handle, they have to wait in a queue. So it is multi-threaded. In Java, Java can handle multiple tasks simultaneously, which means Java supports multi-threaded programs. We need not wait for the application to finish one by one because it can handle everything together. Then the next feature is high performance. So Java is high performance programming language. So it always give you the highest performance. So we use Java as a programming language. Dynamic and extensible. So if you want to expand your project, if you want to connect it with another different platform, yes, you can, because Java is very dynamic and extensible. So it can link new class libraries, methods, and objects dynamically. And also Java support some other programming languages. So it will be very helpful when we develop a software with few programming languages. So when we discuss about the Java and internet, these two has a very strong relationship because these are two platforms, and someone will think like we are not using Java for web related thing, but First web browser run on applet on web is developed by Java. So Java can handle web related things as well. And then this is about the popularity of Java. If someone asks you what are the most popular programming languages, the only honest answer is it depends. Yes, it depends. You can tell Java is best. I can say no, Python is best. It's depend on the requirement. It's depend on the problem. So we have to think all these sides in order to understand the popularity. So you can see Java hold the first place in each and every year, and some changes, drastical changes happen. Sometimes it came to second place, so like that. Those things happen, but still Java is one of very leading programming language. We can see it everywhere and it is very practical. So Java can be considered as a very good programming language when we do the computer program and all. So then we have to install Java. So this is very simple. So we have to install, we have to configure, and we have to check all these things. So next week, I will show you how to do the installation because it will take time. We need more than 2 hours to show that installation and the coding process. So we can discuss that part in next week. Any question from this lesson?
Excuse me, madam.
Yes.
මැඩම් මට විනාඩි 10ක් විතර ලෙසන් එකට සම්බන්ධ වෙන්න බැරි වුණා. මැඩම් මේකේ මේ PDF එක දෙනවද?
PPT එකද?
ඕ මැඩම්.
ඔව් ඉන්න මම දැන් අප්ලෝඩ් කරන්න හදන්නේ.
මැඩම් ඇටෙන්ඩන්ස් මාක් කළාද මැඩම්?
මට attendance දෙන්න අමතක වුණා. Thank you for yeah. First I will upload the PPT. So I have uploaded day 3, all day 1, day 2, day 3 PPTs are there in chat. Download and keep it with you. So let me share the attendance. Right, so I have given the link to mark your attendance. Please mark your attendance. Right, so do you have any questions to clarify? Anything want to clarify from your side? No, right. So if no, I'm going to wind up the today's session. Please make sure to come next week because we are going to start practicals. And before you come to the next week, please go through these 3 PowerPoints and get that background, because without that background, we can't proceed for the next part of our lecture series. So if you don't have any questions, I can leave the meeting. I can wind up the session. Make sure to mark your attendance and submit it. So thank you for coming and interacting with me. So next week we can start our practicals. With practicals, we mainly focus all fundamental things in Java. One by one we can do. And next week I will show you how to install Java. We do all these things. So then we can meet in next week. Until then, have a nice week. Goodbye, all of you.